Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talk More Talk, a Solo Beatles video cast where we talk about all things from the solo years, and of course, sometimes Beatles show up a little bit too. We have got a jam-packed show tonight where we are talking about probably the thing everybody's talking about right now, the Flaming Pie box set, which Tom is showing off right now. We are going to dig into this. We are going to talk about the highlights of the box set, things that maybe we didn't like quite as much, talk about the packaging, the contents, everything. And as always, we want to know what you guys think too, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching the replay, YouTube, wherever you are, we definitely want to know what you think. So we've got a lot to get to tonight. So before we start, I will want to introduce myself and my esteemed colleagues here. My name is Kit O'Toole. I am the author of Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours Through the Beatles' Lesser Known Tracks, as well as Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop. I am also a contributing editor for Beatle Fan Magazine, and I write for a variety of sites on the internet. So let me introduce, he is the host of a very popular YouTube channel where he shares his adventures in collecting and also sprinkles a bit of comedy in there as well. You know him, yes, you have a good amount of comedy in there, and it's great. You know him as Mr. Mayo, but we just call him Joe Mayo around here. So Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, kid, and it's a beautiful night for me. Beautiful night for love.
That's right.
So I hope you're doing well.
Doing great, Joe. Good to see you. And then we have someone that really doesn't need that much of an introduction. He has been a fixture in the Beatles world for a long time. He is the host of the syndicated radio show Every Little Thing, where he plays just about that, every little thing you can imagine in Beatles and solo years. And he always has a theme for every show that he organizes the music around, which is really inventive. He always comes up with a great theme. And as I have said over and over again, he is a walking encyclopedia of chart knowledge. Okay. It's hard to stump this guy. And so everybody say hello to Ken Michaels. Ken, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Hi, guys. And actually, Joe, I can top you on what you just said because, and I'm not making this up, this is true. Okay, I'm not kidding.
Yep.
I live in a town called Milford, Connecticut, in an area called Devon, and it's peaceful, like Devon, and it's a Monday. How do you like that?
Oh,
that's good.
Did we time this perfectly?
Yeah. Very good. I see what you did there, Ken. And last but certainly not least, he is the co-host of the popular podcast and now video cast, Two Legs, which tells you everything you need to know about the Paul McCartney catalog and also other things you may not know about Paul McCartney, about his film career, all different things. Say hello to Tom Hunyadi. Tom, long time no see. How's it going?
Aloha, everybody. And it's definitely been having lots of great days with this beautiful souvenir. And we're going to be getting into it real soon.
Well, we know you got the set. We know you got the set.
All right, and be prepared for a lot of puns tonight, folks. I think that's safe to say. So welcome one and all. So before we get to our main topic tonight, as always, Ken, what news do you have for us?
Well, once upon a long ago, I will start with
oh boy, it'll be a night.
That was terrible. Anyway, story. In continuing with more bonus material to come from the Flaming Pie box set, Paul McCartney has made available on his website a free download for the song Calico Skies. And this was taken from the In the World Tonight campfire scene. Actually, it's a little bit different because if you've watched In the World Tonight, it goes back and forth between Paul's performance at the campfire to the studio with him
Right.
and Linda, then back to the campfire. This is just all at the campfire. And you can hear the fire embers, you know, the sound of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So all throughout the performance. And in the last 2 weeks, in addition to that, there was an instrumental version of Broomstick that was available through Rolling Stone magazine. This is a song that Paul recorded with Steve Miller, and it's just the instrumental backing of the song. Okay. Also, there was a new video for the song Little Willow, which premiered on YouTube last Friday at noon. Not new, it's in the box set,
Right.
but it's nice that it premiered on YouTube.
It just looks nice.
Yeah, and it's an event. I like the fact
Yeah.
that they make it an event. They do a countdown to it and everything, and a lot of people
Mhm.
are watching all at the same time. You can find, I know a lot of people know about this, it's a brand new, excellent interview with Paul in the new September issue of British GQ with photography from Mary McCartney. It's a very candid interview in which Paul revealed that he has used his time during the COVID-19 crisis to write and record new songs. Best news of all, okay?
And you know, I didn't know that, and I know about the article, but I didn't know about it till tonight.
No,
I didn't
okay.
read it. I didn't read it yet.
It was spread a lot on Facebook, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of people are aware of it. It's really good. He told GQ what he's been doing while isolated. He said, I've been able to write and get into music, starting songs, finishing songs. I like having stuff to do as it keeps the brain busy. And on top of all my projects, I've had the luxury of just being able to sit down and write songs for no reason, which is great. It keeps me off the streets. Like I said, McCartney 3 is coming.
Right.
That's
Sid.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yes.
December,
what it is.
here it comes.
You know, McCartney 1970, first album.
Yeah.
McCartney 2, 1980. We're waiting 40
Right.
years for McCartney 3. Come on, you can do it, Paul.
Right. It is one of the better interviews out there that I've seen in recent years with Paul. You know, he does get into a few things, and especially talking about the Alan Klein situation,
Right.
and you know, the breakup, and and how he felt emotionally over it, and how he recovered from all of that stuff. So I mean, it is a pretty telling interview, and it's well worth the read if you can find it online, or if you're lucky enough to purchase it.
Yeah, you just feel like he's so open and honest about everything. It's just so refreshing. You know, it's
Great.
not, he doesn't, I don't feel like he's holding back anything when he talks.
Good.
When asked if he would consider playing Las Vegas like Elton John, Paul said, that's where you go to die.
Now
And
that
nothing-
that I heard, was that from that? Was that from
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Oh, that I heard about. Yeah, good for him
Yeah.
on that.
He said nothing attracts him about the idea of playing there. You know, Ringo was asked the same question a few years ago, and he said he was considering it.
Yeah.
Nothing to be ashamed of. I think it has more to do with if you're getting tired of traveling so much. You know, you're
Yeah.
up there in age, it can wear you out. Nothing wrong with staying at the same area.
Right.
Also, Flaming Pie is now the number 14 album on the official album charts in the UK, although it
Not
hasn't
bad.
appeared on the US charts yet. Okay. According to the Liverpool Echo, the University of Liverpool will name its new teaching and performance facility the Yoko Ono Lennon Center. Work is underway for the center, which is expected to open late next year, costing £22 million. The new facility will house the Tongue Auditorium. That's a 400-seat state-of-the-art performance space, and the Paul Brett Lecture Theater, the largest purpose-built lecture space on campus. This is all part of a significant step towards realizing a dream of providing for the Liverpool City region. Very happy to see Yoko Ono recognized for so much support that she has given to the city of Liverpool.
Yeah,
Really
and
nice.
it is nice, but I can see her getting bashed for her name being first on this for some reason. You know, there's people out there that, you know, say, why does Yoko have to be first? Why can't it be John and Yoko? You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, but you know, stuff like that happens.
There's so much that goes on that we don't even know about, that
Right.
where Yoko donates money to Liverpool
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
Beatles and their families too. It's
Right.
only whatever gets publicized that we find out about. But there's a lot that goes on that we never even hear, you know, and Yoko has done quite a lot for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And especially considering too, during all those tough times in the '60s, when she was first with John and all.
Hmm.
She had a hard time from England. Most
The press treated her horribly,
Mhm.
you know, and John and Yoko talked about that a lot. Yeah. As we mentioned on our last show, there was a special on the AXS TV channel of Nuno Betancourt and Friends, Nuno known for being a guitarist in the band Extreme. And one of his guests on the show was Julian Lennon. The two of them performed Radiohead's song Karma Police. And if you haven't seen it yet, you can catch it on YouTube. Really great performance. And Julian's voice is fantastic.
It's incredible. And I'm not a big Radiohead fan, but
Yeah.
I really, yeah, they were incredible. And Julian's voice just matched that song perfectly.
Hmm.
I was very impressed.
Even if you're not a big fan, chances are you've heard that song.
Yes.
It's one of their most well-known songs. Also, Amazon is listing a Ringo Starr and his All-Star Band CD coming out on September the 11th from Chicago's Rosemont Theater from August of 2001. The lineup included Sheila E., Roger Hodgson, Greg Lake, Ian Hunter, and Howard Jones. It's my favorite lineup of all the All-Star bands.
Really?
It's being issued on the Grayscale label, but this is actually a reissue of a King Biscuit Flower Hour live CD from Ringo and the All-Stars that first came out in 2002. So if you didn't get it then, here's your chance now. Okay, coming out September the 11th. The band Jiva, that one time recorded for George Harrison's Dark Horse Records, have released their only album on Dark Horse, the original, on the group's Bandcamp page. The quartet came from Bernardino, California. The site says the album was originally recorded in 1972, which is an error. It was recorded in October of 1974 and released in 1975. Their page says, thanks to the generosity of the George Harrison estate. It was released on July the 21st this year, and it's available for streaming and to purchase as a download in 24-bit 96K high resolution. Thanks to one of our viewers, Tom Brennan, for that information. So for those of you who want to keep up on Dark Horse artists, I know there are plenty. That's out there, the only album that Jiva made on Dark Horse. A new book is coming out on February the 9th called The Beatles 100 Pivotal Moments in Beatle History by John Borak, whose name you might be familiar with because he's a contributing editor for Goldmine magazine. He's also the author of Shake Some Action, The Ultimate Power Pop Guide, released in 2008. Also, John Lennon, Life is What Happens in 2010, and Shake Some Action 2.0, a guide to the 200 greatest power pop albums from 1970 to 2017. John's new book tackles such questions as, was John Lennon meeting Paul McCartney more significant than John meeting Yoko Ono? Kind of a subject we tackled here on this show.
Yeah,
like,
you did that.
who was more important in John Lennon's life, Paul or Yoko? Rubber Soul or Revolver? Which Wings album was Paul McCartney's solo pinnacle? I don't know why he's saying Wings. I differentiate solo with Wings anyway. The book will be released on Rare Bird Books. You can pre-order the book at this website, rarebirdlit.com. All right, a few more things. Terry Crane's recent book, NEMS in the Business of Selling Beatles Merchandise in the US 1964 to 1966, is being released in a second edition with over 700 images, mostly in color in the book, and with 12 new pages to the now 250-page book. It's now updated and edited to give you the most up-to-date information about Beatles collectibles that came out here in the States during those years. The book is now available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the tradition.com website. And sad to report on the passing of Wayne Fontana, who along with his group, the Mindbenders, were part of the British invasion, scoring a #1 hit in 1965 with Game of Love. The Mindbenders were part of a lineup of artists that performed at the NME Poll Winners concert in 1965, along with, what a lineup, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Kinks, Animals, Donovan, Moody Blues, Herman's Hermits, and others. The other major connection between the Mindbenders and a Beatle was one of the members of the Mindbenders was Eric Stewart, who went on to join 10cc and then work with Paul McCartney for his albums Tug of War through Press to Play. Wayne Fontana died from cancer. He was 74. If you ever get the chance, I know I mention YouTube all the time on this show, but that Enemy concert's there in total. You can see all those acts. It's a
Wow.
great concert. The Beatles were on fire in that
Wow.
show. They
Very,
were,
very
Yeah.
confident.
yeah.
He seemed
They
very
were,
confident.
you know, they were next to last in that show. They didn't close the show.
Huh.
You know who did?
Weird.
The Kinks.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
A lot of Kinks fans will be happy about that.
Yep.
And finally, some birthdays to celebrate. On August 1st, Danny Harrison turned 42. And the same day, Bill Elliott from the Dark Horse band, Splinter, well, he turned the big 7-0. Okay, a lot of people love those Splinter albums. Bill Elliott turning 70. Happy birthday to both those guys. And that's it for Beatle News.
Cool. Excellent.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well, before we get going, I also want to let everybody know that the latest George Harrison book, George Harrison on George Harrison, Interviews and Encounters, is now out. And this pretty much tackles throughout his Beatle career all the way into, sadly, his last interview and all that stuff. So this is out now. You can, Amazon, that's how I got it. I don't know where else you could find this, but it looks to be a good read, and looking forward to tackling it. And also, don't forget, at the end of this month, August 29th, will be the first of 3 record store days, and this will be the one that will have the John Lennon, Yoko Ono Instant Karma, and the McCartney 50th anniversary half speed vinyl. So
Right.
that'll be the 29th.
Maybe we
Very
should say
good.
a word about the virtual fest.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. We want to, this past weekend, and I'm sure some of you watching right now were there. First of all, we want to thank you for coming. If you came to our panel at the Virtual Fest for Beatles fans, which was just yesterday. And we want to thank you. We had a blast talking about different genres that the Beatles in the solo years dabbled in, and we could have easily gone on for another hour, I think,
Oh,
or more. And I think it's safe to say we're going to revisit that topic in future episodes, because we had such a blast talking about it, and we want to thank you. You guys really came out for us, and really we just had such a good time, and it was sad that we couldn't all get together in person like we normally do at Fest, but really have to thank the Lapidos family. They did a great job. I mean, I thought so. What did you guys think?
I had a wonderful time. I thought it was a lot of fun. And then not just that for us, for our panel, but for me to sit in afterward and watch some other discussions. I just had a really, really great time. And I'm just very happy to be part of it. And it's the next best thing to having the physical fest, if you will call it.
right.
Yeah, it was a good time as always. I was working mostly Friday and Saturday, so I didn't get to see as much as I would like to have. I got to see Kit along with our friends at when they was Fab, Ed Chen and Lonnie Pena doing their panel, and then Sunday when I was off, then I got to see Mark Lewison doing his talk with our our friend Kent Womack, who unfortunately can't be here tonight. And then I got to ask Mark Lewison about his time working with Club Sandwich and how that experience was, and he had a great answer. So it was a lot of fun. It's always fun listening to Mark Lewison and just people picking his brain and seeing what you can learn for that hour or 2 hours whenever he's talking. And it's a brilliant time.
I always say, anytime you listen to any interview with Mark Lewison, you end up being a little bit smarter.
Yep.
No, for sure.
There's always something that you learn that you never heard before.
Yes.
But I had a great time, as I always do. It's always a frustrating thing for me because I'm interested in almost everything that goes on at the fest. And it doesn't matter whether it's a physical fest or a virtual fest. They had 5 rooms going on with activities all simultaneously. And you know what makes it worse for me is the fact that, no, I'm serious. I'm making more and more friends through Facebook who are performers that I get to watch on their Facebook page, and they're at the fest. And a lot of the people who are there are authors that I've interviewed. So there's even more people that I want to see. And you
Hear, hear.
can't do all of it at the same time. And this is all happening in the middle of the Flaming Pie box set. So I've been running back and forth from this room to the living room, going to watch the DVD for In the World Tonight, then checking to see what's on the schedule. You can't do it all. But there were great interviews that I saw with Greg Bissonette, Tom Frangione interviewing him, Terry Hemmert, who I've always heard the name. I've never been to the Chicago Fest. She's wonderful.
Isn't she great?
She's a fantastic interviewer. She's so comfortable. She makes everyone feel at ease. She asks great questions, and she has a great R&B background like you, Kit. The two of you. I mean, let's have her on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we should actually.
Yeah.
She is a legend here in Chicago. She's been in radio over 40 years, and of course, she's been the MC of the Chicago Fest since I forget it, like second or third year it was here. And boy, and she knows her stuff.
Right.
She really does. Really does. Yeah, I saw her interview with Mary Wilson, which was just a delight. That was a delight to watch. And I mean, my God, Mary Wilson, I mean, come on, she's a supreme. It was incredible. It was incredible to see.
Still
that.
Can't figure out a way, though, to get Mary Wilson's autograph.
Really?
How do you do that? I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
I was
When we
going to say that
go
before you
back
brought
to-
her up even.
Yeah. When it goes back to a physical fest, you'll be able to do that.
Exactly. Yeah,
Did you catch what
exactly.
she said at the end? Now it's time to take my makeup off.
Yep. That's right.
She was great. She was sweet. I saw Jeremy Clyde for an interview. I saw the Mark Lewison interview. Lawrence Juber's performance. No matter how many times I see Lawrence, he just dazzles. He blows my mind.
Oh, never
just-
disappoints.
It was all Beatles. He did the best version I ever heard him do of I Am the Walrus. It just blows me away. Really, just so many wonderful things going on throughout the whole weekend. You just can't see it all. I do wish that they would make everything available online. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Anyone's,
Yes. Hint, hint.
because there's too much to see. There is.
Yep. Exactly. So, yep. So it really, it was, as I said, it's not a replacement for being there in person, but it was really fun. And again, I really have to thank the Lapidos family for all the work they did, and also to Susan Ryan and Wally Pedrazik, who they were in charge of that paperback writer room.
They ran it well.
Right.
They
Very
ran
tight.
it really well. I mean, that room ran like clockwork. I mean, it was incredible. And they handled everybody, called on people and really made us panelists, our job easier. So we could focus on what we needed to focus on. So kudos to everybody involved in that fest. They did an unbelievable job. And again, thank you to all of you who came to our panel, and just was a blast. So
Susan and Wally are just they're great moderators too.
they are. They absolutely are.
Fantastic.
So really good, great job to everybody. So, all right, everybody, are we ready to take a slice of pie here? I think we're ready. And again, all of you watching, we want to hear your thoughts as well. And if we don't get to them on the air, don't worry. We read the comments, whether they're on Facebook, YouTube, wherever, and we respond to them. We love to hear from you. All right. So if everybody, I'm sure, has got their boxes handy. So of course, this is a very special album in Paul's career. This was a kind of at a crossroads in his career. This was coming after Anthology, so he was clearly in a very reflective mood at this point. And also, as we know, this is the last album that Linda appeared on, and and listening to it now, it's a bit bittersweet because it's clear that her fragile health was on his mind quite a bit as he was recording it. So, but there are a lot of joyous moments on this album as well. And a number of his friends collaborated with him. It's really a very special album, I think. And so it was great to see it get the archive treatment. So let's start off with general impressions. and then we'll get into specifics with packaging and things like that. What was your general impression of the whole thing, the way it was presented? Tom, let's start with you. Just general thoughts.
General thoughts. It's I'm glad that the boxes are all the same size so they can look, all pretty on the shelf. That's one of the things that I really care about. The box set, general, what's in the box. We've complained in the past about certain CDs not having a lot of material on there, only being like 30-35 minutes per CD, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. But all in all, the way these box sets are presented are beautiful. They're sturdy, they're not cheap, or they don't feel cheap. I've actually dropped my Wings Over America box set not too long ago, and no damage was done to it. So I mean, they're sturdy. I mean, I really appreciate the work that goes into this. Everything that's in the box is well organized, and this is always been my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of the box set is these little sleeves that are on the back, that just give you all the information of everything that's in. I just love collecting these. These are almost like my hype sticker, Joe. I know how you guys love the hype stickers, but these are the parts. So yeah, exactly. So the whole general package itself, throughout the whole, since they stopped doing the book form, starting with Band on the Run and McCartney 2 and McCartney, they've gone to more of this box style set, starting with the Ram box, and I really appreciated that because it just keeps everything a little neater and keeps everything tidy and mint. I mean, unless you just keep taking it out, you're gonna unfortunately, ruin the stuff. But I appreciate the hard work that goes into these box sets.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think because, we'll probably get to this a little later. These aren't cheap, to say the least. But I think they're very well made. They really are. And they try to give you bang for your buck. I think, and as time has gone on, I think that's been even more and more the case. So, Joe, how about you?
I'm a stickler for uniformity as well. And things Tom's talking about. Sometimes this one's like thinner, this one's fatter. Okay, they will be the same exactly. It's a collector's thing, But no, great job. If we're talking about just the box, the packaging, the presentation is beautiful. Did a good job. I like the cloth binding and all that. And the way it opens up too. Is this a first with that kind of?
First for the Paul McCartney series to have the magnet.
Yeah, it has like a magnetized flip thing.
Yeah.
I think it took a lot of people seconds to think that slide out of here. What is it? Then it
takes a while to find out, to figure it out
from here. But no, it's a nice job with the presentation of it, and of course the contents. A lot of people say in the collector's world, look, I just want the music. I don't need all this. I don't need the book. I don't need a lot of paraphernalia or lyrics scribbled out and everything and so forth. But for me, of course, the music is always the main thing. That's what we're really into. But I can hear the music too, anytime, as far as the regular tracks, regular album, not the bonus material that you get. But I'm in it also for the bells and whistles, for the book and all the photos and stuff like that, and chronicling that whatever album he's doing at the time, is chronicling it all down. So I really like that, and I got no quibbles with that. I could go on talking about individual tracks and things, but I guess we'll
get to that. We'll get to that. Hang on to that.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Though I got a high number. I don't know if we want to talk about that.
We'll get to that in a minute too.
I don't know. Hey, we just wing it, folks. We wing it.
No, we'll get to that. But Ken, how about you? Just general thoughts.
I can echo the words of Joe and Tom there. I love the packaging. I am one of those people who care much more about the music than everything else, but I do love the bells and whistles. And I've said a number of times that you're really going to get to my heart when I see handwritten lyrics. I am a real,
Yeah.
I do love seeing that. And the way that they can duplicate things these days so that it looks like Paul just wrote it.
Mhm.
Not only you see his handwriting, but whatever the color paper was that he
Right.
used it's the exact same color. He even goes to those lengths to make it that precise to what he did when he first wrote the lyrics down. So,
Coffee
but
stains.
I was gonna say, you
there's
took the words out of my
handwritten
mouth.
lyrics. There's handwritten lyrics for Same Love, and then at the top of the page there's this drawing of what looks like himself, and then on the back of the page is this little scribble of nothing.
Mhm.
It just it stays there. It's like, I guess that's what Paul did on the page.
Right. Mhm.
But my major gripe with his archival box sets have been when the bonus audio has been skimpy. Like Tom has said, there are certain ones like Wings at the Speed of Sound that have
Oh, yeah.
7 tracks, or
Tracks.
the first McCartney album or something. That's when I'm really upset, because there's got to be a lot more that he can give us. And I have noticed in recent years that there's been more and more of a growing trend to want to hear demos and early versions of songs and home recordings.
Right.
And I think Paul has recognized that. Kind of reminded me a bit of Flowers in the Dirt in a way, because you had 2 discs of demos, just like what you have here. It's demos and whatever you want to call it, home recordings, early versions.
Right.
But he does that, and then the bonus material of B-sides and stuff that he put out, similar to Flowers in the Dirt. But yeah, I love the packaging too. It was all well put together, very sturdy, like you said, but very impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was a really first-class job. Now, I was looking at the comments, and I'm going to have to paraphrase it because it scrolled by really fast. But Mark P mentioned that he said, he's more about the music, that the other stuff drives up the price. And I mean, yes, I understand. The more the
Mark
extra.
P, you're the king of the box sets of CDs. If you know anybody who knows Mark P, he's got a collection that'll make your head turn around a couple of times.
Yep. And yeah, and as I said, I'm paraphrasing as the comment went up really fast. But yeah, I mean, I understand that argument that, the more extras you put in and the more reproductions, the more, yes, it's going to drive up the price, but on the other hand, yeah, I do enjoy. I mean, I loved, opening up the envelope and, the manila envelope and everything. I mean, it was fun. It's fun, and you do get a little insight into what the process was, as you
And
said.
I might as well say
handwritten-
now something Tom
Yeah.
said earlier. Make sure you don't miss the guitar pick.
Yes, because I did the first
Vanilla
time.
envelope, because there's a little guitar pick in there.
Is
Yep.
it?
And there it is.
And it's a
It's
funny
Paul
thing, because I was
McCartney.
joking around before with Tom. I said, I could just see 10 or 20 years from now, people are going to be selling used, maybe Flaming Pie boxes. This one has the guitar pick intact. It's not lost. It's there.
Yeah.
Yep. 50 years from now on Antiques Roadshow, that's going to be, this one is the pick.
An extra $200 for the pick.
That's right. Exactly. All
Well,
right.
I mean, the thing, and to continue what Mark P said, I get that, and I think there's been some box sets that kind of maybe went a little overboard, especially with Wings Over America. I don't know if we really needed 4 books to go with that set, and then only a couple discs as well. So in some instances I'll agree with that, but in others I really enjoy, like Ken said, those handwritten lyrics. They're really cool, and then the reproduction of like the Club Sandwich and the and the Flame sheet too. I mean, some nice stuff.
Well, in a series like this, where you're actually getting Paul's works, the whole catalog, hopefully at some point, it's the definitive version. It's got everything, almost everything. We'll get to that another time here.
Yep.
But I mean, you're talking about let's go for it. That's what I feel. This is like everything, just about almost about the kitchen sink. I'm happy to have all of them for Paul's entire archive.
Sure, absolutely.
But
Now, sorry.
I do love the fact that with all his releases, he makes various versions. If you just want the remastered CD with one bonus CD of material, you can just get that. You can, go according to your budget or what you feel you want to spend on it. So
Absolutely. No, that's true. You've got a lot of options.
Mhm.
Or you can get the $600 version that, you know, that took up half of Ken Womack's body and, you know, and that kind of thing.
This one might be a good time just to mention. Can I mention, maybe because you mentioned that there's a big gigantic Ken Womack showed us briefly the Giants. I think it's called the Complete Collection. Is that what it's called? The Complete Collection?
Super
think-
deluxe edition, I think.
Super deluxe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh,
And-
okay. Super Deluxe. Now I know there's a friend of mine and he watches the show and his name is Marvin G.
He's tuned in right now. I
Mm.
saw I saw a comment
Yeah,
from him.
and he goes by the name on YouTube. He has a channel, Beatle Vinyl 85. So if you want to check out, he's one of the many people who've been doing videos where they actually examine this. It's a good longer video too, and you could get to see all the contents for those that are interested. So they might want to go over there and check that out. Beatle Vinyl 85. He's a good guy.
Right. All right. Before we get on to the music, Joe wanted us, and this came up in a panel yesterday. So we're going to share. And if you guys have the box set, you can join in the
I
comments.
have my
We
number
wanna know-
written down.
Oh wow! Okay.
Box set-
We
box set's not
want to know
handy.
what number you have. So all right, I got to
Right.
grab my set here.
Get your 20-pound dumbbell right there.
Dang! I mean, this'll get some muscles going here. All right. So my number is 08145.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay, mine is 08222.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna go next because I think mine.
Yeah.
I thought so far mine is still the highest, 08269.
Oh,
I think,
okay.
oh, but I don't have the highest one. Good, come on. Everybody wants to know a number, right?
is 05683.
There you go.
Ooh,
All right.
yours is the lowest.
Yeah,
Does
All right.
anyone know how many were made?
I
10,000?
don't-
No, I did not see that information.
Sometimes you see,
Okay.
you think you see things, read things, glossed over things. I don't know why. I think it's 10.
I don't know. So yeah, so there were some people. The reason this came up was in a panel yesterday at the fest. Somebody brought up that they had a one that was 00000, and it turns out that there were a number of those out there. There were some test pressings or something that got out accidentally, but unfortunately they're not rare. That there are a lot of them out there.
A bunch of
And
them.
it was, and they're printed upside down, I guess. The numbers sort of printed upside down. So if you have one of those,
They'll
It's-
still charge $1,000 on eBay for 'em.
yeah,
Doesn't
that's
matter.
true. Marvin said collector's edition is limited to 3,000.
Okay.
And Mark
So that's
P.
What is
That's
that
the-
called? Collector's edition? That's what I thought.
Collector's edition. Yes, he said it's called collector's. The $600 one. Mark P. thinks
Okay.
it was limited to 10,000. That I think that was the deluxe edition.
Okay.
So, okay.
Thank you, Mark and Marvin.
Yes, indeed. We've got some our viewers are very astute. They always have the information for us. So, all right, let's get into the discs themselves. Now, we're not going to have time to go through every single track, obviously, but I thought maybe we could just pick out a few highlights of from each disc. So, disc one, we have the remastered album. And of course, we all know what was on it. But I just wondered if there were, just a couple of highlights that you found from the remastered album. Were there a couple of tracks that the remastering just really knocked you out? Really made an impression on you, or were they, or did they not? What do you think, Ken? What do you think? Was there?
Well, that was the last thing I listened to because all the bonus stuff I go to
Right.
first.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
I didn't notice that big a difference. Maybe a little bit more of a fuller sound.
Mhm.
To start off with, the song we were singing really sounded very full. And when you hear just the acoustic guitar so clean like that, I mean,
Yep.
how much of a difference? I don't know if it's that drastic a difference. I think the later that you get with the music, the more difficult it is for it to sound better,
Mhm.
but it's only a slight difference, I feel. And then again, it was all on a small little studio here, my small studio and my headphones.
Mhm.
Depends upon what kind of sound system you have too. I could play the same thing in my car and I might hear things that I didn't hear in my headphones here. So all that, those are factors when you listen to
Mhm.
music.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Tom, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a little bit of a fuller sound, I think, but it was already a good sounding album to begin with.
Mhm.
I think maybe they got rid of a little bit. There might have been a little bit of a hiss sound, but that they eliminated from the original recording. But other than that, I think it was a really good sounding album to begin with. And I agree with Ken, a little bit more full-length sound. Especially they always talk about how the bass and the drums always creep up a little bit when with all of these archive sets. And I think this one you could say was the same a little bit. But other than that, yeah, it's a good sounding album.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, what did you
Well,
think?
same thing. It sounds great, but it's one of those albums that I always thought sounded pretty good. So I don't have them comparing them next to each other, but on its own, it sounds terrific. But I don't know how much of a marked up sound it is, because it was always sounded good to me. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that it wasn't like hearing when Sergeant Pepper was remastered or something, or the White Album, where there were certain tracks where it just, was just pow, wow,
Right.
this is like a revelation to listen to. I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't like that. I will say some days I thought benefited from remastering because I thought George Martin's string arrangement came through a lot clearer for me when I was listening to it on headphones. I really appreciated his delicate arrangement a lot more. And I also thought the ending for Beautiful Night, the horns and everything on that really just came through a lot more for me. The horns and the strings. I mean, I thought those had been brought up even more in the mix, at least, just what I was hearing. So there were just, it wasn't anything that just knocked you over. But there were some details like that. And just like you said, Ken, in songs we were singing, the guitars,
Mhm.
that's what I noticed too. The guitars were definitely more prominent. So there were just some little tweaks like that. But as you
Right.
guys said, it already was wasn't like it was recorded, in the 50s or something. I mean,
Mhm.
it was great technology in the mid 90s. So I mean, it wasn't quite in that needed that much work to begin with. But I think there were some subtle differences. But yeah, I think you're right, Ken, though. It depends on what sound system you're using.
I'm gonna have to play
Right.
the old disc now. That's all there is to it. Now I'm familiar with the new one. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to just play the old one.
yeah,
If
exactly.
if
I
it's a
think
little more
that's the
muted or
thing.
something.
Yeah, I just think there were cases where I would say it just clarified sound. It just wasn't anything that just knocked you over and
Right.
it was
Mm.
super obvious. So, but very, well done. I mean, it was nicely done. Nice to have a, bit more of a refined version, retuned version. But
Right.
now we get to home recordings, the demos, the stuff we all live for. So, so let's get to that. So Joe, were there particular tracks on here that really you really liked?
Of course, you picked me first for this one. Um, I was very disappointed with it. I like home
Hmm.
recordings. I like to see demos and things, how songs come to be. But I just found it. If I'm going to be honest, I found it kind of dull and boring. I wanted to. I was listening to it for the sake of the show, and I would have listened to it anyway. But if I wasn't doing the show,
Right.
but I mean, I'm like, oh, I wanted to move on. To tell you the truth, I think the one that really, if anything, stood out to me was "Beautiful Night." Maybe the 1995 demos. That one,
Mhm.
and that was all right. But I don't feel the same about the other. Just to save a little face here, I did like another disc later in the studio,
We'll get
but
to
that
that.
one, I don't know. I just didn't do it for me. I mean, I know what it is. It's primitive. It's just basic.
Yeah.
Somebody I remember said something like, sounded like Paul was just doodling around, and Linda might have just put on the tape recorder over, laying on the couch or something. Yeah, well, that's what it is, home recordings. But I like home recordings, depending on in general. depending on how they phase me. These didn't really knock me out much. I don't think it's a disc I'm going to be going back to be honest with you, on this box.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to an extent. Like something like Calico Skies was disappointing to me because, you know, it was just the sound quality. But again, I mean, it was a home recording. I mean, you know, I
Is
wasn't.
that the one where the phone was ringing a couple times?
That
There's a
was
phone
Souvenir.
somewhere.
Souvenir,
Okay, yeah.
which was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
funny. As you could tell, he was kind of annoyed.
If I could just interject for a minute while I think of it, you know, we remember the Lost Lennon tapes with John, and there's a lot of things like that, and phones ringing and things. I don't know why. I mean, those I really enjoyed. I don't know if it's because John's gone and we don't have anything else, and a lot of this stuff was stuff that you didn't hear. It wasn't a lot of them were not regular songs. A lot of them were stuff that maybe he didn't officially record, and then the ones that he did were really like early versions, like "Make Love Not War." Or things like that. So it was really different. I just want to say I don't know why, but for some reason those I really thrived on. I really enjoyed those, but
Yeah.
not so much with this one.
Yeah, I mean, and some of them, as I said, some of them the sound quality was iffy.
Mhm.
You know, that was, as I said, Calico Skies for me was a little disappointing because I mean, I love Calico Skies, but it was just the sound quality wasn't great. I mean, I really had to turn it up to hear it, and there was a lot of background noise, but you know, it's home recording, so I get it. But Joe, you said "Beautiful Night" was a highlight.
Yeah, that one
I agree.
I enjoyed the most.
I agree with that. I thought I liked that piano only version, you know, just stripped down. So I felt like that, you know, just to hear sort of the skeleton of the song. I really, that was a highlight for me too. Absolutely. So Tom, how about you? Were there some highlights
Yeah.
for you?
Absolutely. You know, I do kind of agree with Joe about and you, Kid, about the sound quality. Not the greatest, but they're here, and if these are what were available, then I'm glad to have them. However, yeah, I mean, they might not be the best, but the thing I think I like the most about all of these is how realized a lot of these songs were before they even went into the studio. I mean, if these were the home demos, I mean, he's pretty much right on the money. Then he pretty much knows how these songs are going to go, and that's what one of the things that I've pretty much been amazed from Paul for a long time is that even these songs that are in the demo form are almost completely what you're going to hear at the finished product. So a lot of those were great. Beautiful Night, like Joe said, is good. You know, I do like the workings of Little Willow. You know, the stuff a lot of acoustic guitar work on here that I really like. You know, Flaming Pie with him, you know, getting the piano bit going on that, I think is fine as well. So yeah, the noise, you know, not so much, but the fact that, you know, these songs were pretty much already well thought of before he even went out to the studio is amazing to me.
Yeah, particularly like Some Days. I mean, that was pretty much
Yep.
complete.
Yeah.
I mean, that was interesting to hear. I mean, that it was, yeah, I
Great.
mean, yeah, then there were others that were, you know, needed, you know,
You can
clearly he
hear
was
the,
still working
yeah,
through
the
lyrics.
chord production. I mean, the chord changes are all there,
Right.
you know, and you can just, yeah, you can definitely, it's definitely, you know, master at work.
Yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. Ken, how about you?
Well, first of all, I have no idea whether or not I'm going to be listening to this years from now. I only know that right now I'm fascinated by this whole thing. We get to hear songs like the song we were singing on the first disc there. There are sections there that were not used in the song that he
Sure.
took out.
Yeah.
And you know, you hear all the time that McCartney has so many ideas and he can't use all of them. And you never know if he might take what he took out of this song and use it in another song. You just never know. You've always heard that he's so prolific and he comes up with many ideas. In this case, he took that out. Then you've got songs like Young Boy, which started off as being Poor Boy, and he explained that because he changed it because there's an Elvis Presley song called Poor Boy. He didn't want to, you know, people to think about that one. So he changed it to Young Boy. But in the first version here, he doesn't have the part of the song where you go to find love, you know, that part.
Right.
That isn't even written in the song yet. So you've got songs there. You've got demos where you've got stuff that he takes out. You've got songs that are not finished yet. You've got songs where he changes words around. You've got The World Tonight, where he switches the words around. It wasn't "I can see the world tonight." It was "I can see the future, then I can see the world tonight."
Right,
and
right.
he changed that, and you could tell that he did not have the words finished on that song. So he's kind of making it up as he goes. And I also feel that, like Tom said, and this is something, I apply this to the Beatles as well. There's a song like Some Days, this first version, which is just him and an acoustic guitar, is perfect the way it is.
Yep.
And you realize how strong these songs are without any band arrangement, without any orchestration. They're stunning by itself. One of the bonus tracks that Paul put on his website was Some Days. It's the version that's on the album, but without the orchestration. But
And I wanted it here. We'll get to that too.
Yeah,
right?
we'll get to
Very
that.
disappointing. That's my biggest disappointment. I love that song.
But
Me
when
too.
you got songs like that,
that
and
here.
Little Willow is another example. The first version there is so close to what he put out anyway, arrangement wise, and it makes you realize this was a much more simpler production that was applied to the album, and it's a very acoustic album too. So many of the songs here are acoustic based songs, and they
I
even
like
sound
he-
Yeah.
like The World Tonight even sounds great with the focus on the acoustic guitars on
Right.
on the second disc. So
Right. I liked how in the book he talks about, he wanted this like a no stress album, and just, make it simple. And, you don't need to be overproduced or whatever. It's just, straight out what you hear is what you see is what you get.
well, Paul likes to bring back this apparently very fond memory that he has of Beatles recording sessions
Right.
where he and John would write a song and go into the studio. George and Ringo wouldn't even know the song, and they'd have to learn it
Right.
that day, and they would finish it that day, or they would finish several
Mhm.
songs in the same day.
Yep.
Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work. Not every Beatles song was done that way. Some of them they labored on for a while, but he
Right.
remembers that time period. And I think, he tells the story about both Young Boy and Some Days as songs that he wrote when Linda was off,
Right.
cooking a special meal with someone else, or, and he challenged himself to write a song in an hour or a few hours. And he came back with a song each time. So he applied that type of, let's do this quickly, let's have some fun with it, let's not sweat on it. And in
Yep.
those particular cases, two really good songs. I mean, I really think Some Days is one of his masterpieces.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it worked
Me
on
too.
both those songs. So in that way, thinking about how the Beatles worked when they did it quickly, and he applied it. So same thing with the song Flaming Pie. He wanted to record that with Jeff Lynne. Jeff said to him, let's do it in 4 hours.
Right.
And they did it in 4 hours.
Yep.
So applying that kind of, approach is what they did a lot of on this album.
Absolutely. And Ken, you were mentioning songs we were singing. That's one of the other highlights of the home recordings disc for me. It has such a different sound just with him and the acoustic guitar. It had a kind of a moodier sound in the beginning to me, and I just I love that as much as the finished product. I mean, and I love the final version too, but I just, this has such a different tone to it. And as you said, he was still working on the lyrics at this point, and it's, as you said, it's just so fascinating to see, be able to hear that process. I mean, and but then to hear Some Days where it was pretty much complete. I mean, it's just astounding to me that there was basically no rough draft from what I
Right.
can tell of Some Days.
Yeah.
But there clearly was with World Tonight or songs we were singing. So yeah, and I was looking at some comments on Facebook, and a couple of people said too that they probably wouldn't go back and listen to this
Yeah,
disc
it's
repeatedly.
it's fascinating from a historical standpoint, sure.
It
But
is.
I wouldn't-
And but it does, as Ken, as you said, it does give an insight into his creative process, which is fascinating, in itself. And and I think there are a few versions on here that maybe I would go back and listen to periodically, but not everyone. But you know, maybe a few that really stand out. But as you said, for you know, historic purposes and all, it's really good to have these. Really is. Glad that he put them out. So now we get to studio sessions, another thing we live for. The outtakes. So let's talk about what were some standouts for us on these. So Ken, what was a particular, you know, what did you like about the studio sessions disc?
Okay, just before I talk about that, I forgot to mention If You Wanna on the first disc, because it's much faster than the version that was put on the album, and I found that really interesting. So he definitely slowed that song down. The second disc, Great Day and Calico Skies, were as close to the album as possible. I found that the song we were singing was more ironed out by that point, and I found it interesting that he held back on the high notes for that song in the chorus. Maybe he was waiting for when he was going to make the version on the album. The World Tonight, I found it interesting that he omitted the word there. You know, I saw you sitting, you know, and you're waiting for the word there.
Right.
So yeah, it's still you know, in development, the song. Yeah. Oh, Whole Life. What a highlight from this box set. I had no idea that there was an earlier version of the song. I knew the one that came out around 2003, but and this one is somewhat different than the version that came out later on, because it's a bit slower. It definitely is very edgy, and there's a whole other part of the song that he took out in the later version. So he wrote that with Dave Stewart. The two of them are the only ones I know of that that worked on the song together. That was a definite highlight. And also, I do like the version there of Heaven on a Sunday, just to have a different version of it. And they do have an Easter egg at the very end, which you know, is taken from the Beautiful Night Sessions, and Paul and Ringo are clowning around. Paul's at the piano and they're all singing, you know, "You're a Bastard."
Bastards.
Easter eggs.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was also an Easter egg at the end of the other disc.
Yeah.
Right? But I forget which one that was. I know there was this one.
I think it was it just a like a guitar riff and some, I forget. I think it was a guitar riff and Paul just saying, "Oh yeah," or something like that. It wasn't as good as this one.
Okay. I'll have to
Not
check.
as
I don't
good
know how
as-
I could have missed that.
Yeah, it's and I only knew about it from Tom Frangione when yesterday in the panel he did for the fest, where he was talking about the box. He said, "Be sure you listen for this," and he didn't say what it was. He kind of hinted at this one we're talking about now, the Paul and Ringo thing, but the other one he just said there's a little thing at the end, and
Okay.
this one's the better one. Let's put it that way. A more exciting one. But anyway, yes, absolutely. Whole Life. And I was talking to Tom before the show about this. I guess I was living under a rock because I didn't even know about this song. I didn't even know it came out in 2003. I mean, I don't know where I was, you know. I don't know. I was working on my dissertation.
I was under
then.
the
Maybe
rock
that-
with you too. I didn't know that either.
Okay, good. I was working on my dissertation. Maybe that was it. I don't know, because I had no idea this song existed in any form, but I love it. I mean, what a great song, and boy, do I wish Paul and Dave Stewart had done more work together. Because I mean, what a great song this is, and I have to look up the 2003 version so I can you know, compare that. I mean, it's just such a rocker, and it took Paul a little out of his comfort zone too. I mean, he sounds a little different on this. You know, I think it's I mean, not completely, but I think for I don't know, vocally he sounds a little bit, you know, out of his zone. I love the guitar riff and bass line. I mean, wow. I mean, I was just blown away by this.
Yeah.
So good, Joe. I don't feel so stupid now
Yeah,
because
right. I could have said, "Oh, sure, I knew about that." No.
yeah, it's really.
didn't.
I mean, when I looked it up, I did research, and I was of course looking at. I'm like, where was I?
Oh, it's very good, very good. So very good. I was up to that point. That was the highlight for me.
Mhm.
I was really impressed with that. I liked the whole disc in the studio. That was
Yeah.
one I could listen to over and over. I don't know. I just come on down, come on, baby. I mean,
Mhm.
I enjoyed listening to that. It was really a much different experience for me compared to the home recordings. I don't know,
Mhm.
maybe just a little more fleshed out, more accessible.
More professional sounding.
Yeah,
Probably.
enjoyed everything. I'm looking at the list, everything on there. But when I heard what the whole life is, what's really jumped out.
Wow.
Mm.
Yep. And it was interesting to hear the rough mix of "World Tonight" with the previous lyrics, and I think it was a good idea that Paul changed those.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, because I love "World Tonight." That's a great song. I thought that was a great first single for this
Yes.
album. But yeah, "Love Will Make Me Happy. It Will Keep Me Shining Bright, and as long as the people go, hey, wow."
Yeah,
That didn't work
right.
as
See,
well, but
I didn't
Ooh.
spend as much time writing every little thing down. But if I did, that did click in my head. I'm like, whoa. They say the old cliche, which is not 100% true. John was this, a word person. Paul was a music person. Yeah, they both did great stuff the other way too. But
Mhm.
sometimes when I'm listening to this, I'm saying, wow, that might be kind of true for Paul. He really has got to take time to come up with some good words here and there.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
but
oh, he's
everybody has a rough draft. I mean, that's fine.
yeah, oh,
I
sure,
mean, that's
sure.
nothing against them. I mean,
Sure,
that's
no.
the way
But
it
that one
goes.
stuck in my head as long as
But
they
when I heard that, I
say
just
hey or whatever.
ooh. but that's part of the creative process. So that
Yep.
was really
Yeah,
fun to hear.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, Tom, how about you? What
Yeah,
did you like?
yeah. Before we connected earlier today, I thought to myself, oh, darn it, I gotta go back and listen to the 2003 Whole Life because I hadn't listened to it for a while, just to to see the differences. And and for if people want to learn more about that song, they can get the Luca Perazzi book, and it talks about when it started and the fact that Dave Stewart and McCartney, like you said, can play on the track. And then the later version, they were worried about Dave not being able to participate, and then he came in, played acoustic guitar, while Paul and Rusty, I think, play guitar on this track, and I think Brian's on bass. And then but yeah, it is the 2003. I mean, it is a lot quicker, a lot heavier, but the 95 version is really good as well. I think it's cool stuff. Beautiful Night's my favorite song on the album. Whatever kind of version I can find from this song, I'm all ears. Just enjoy all of it. And then it's cool to hear the Ringo and Paul chatter at the end of the song as well. And those are my highlights. I mean, come on down, come on, baby. It's okay. I mean, I never heard that before. I don't know if it's ever been bootlegged or not. It is kind of cool to hear Linda say, that's the one for me. That's the song I love, or something like that, after he's done playing it. So that's kind of cool. And then the chatter too is something that I really appreciate whenever it's on these sets. And hopefully we're going to get a lot of chatter when that Let It Be box set comes out too.
Oh yeah.
So but yeah, I mean, the whole CD, I agree, is some quality stuff. And yeah, I like all of it. Only thing is, the only thing is, okay, second disc 36 minutes, third disc 35 minutes. You could have easily put both of these on one disc.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that could be done.
Yeah.
Although for the anal among us, it's technically different things. So home recordings in the studio.
Well, you can put them side by side. You could put the the home recording of of Calico Skies, and then play the in the studio version, so that way you can listen to them side by side without having to change discs.
Well, maybe the price
I mean?
of the set would have had to be cheaper then.
Maybe.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Might be onto something there, Joe.
I think
something.
I think that's it. I think you've got it. All right, since we're running a little low on time, let's jump to disc 4, which is Flaming Pies, which kind of has a bit of everything. It's a, a little bit of it's a mixture of B-sides and also some other kind of odds and ends, I guess you would say, that don't really fit into particular categories. And of course, we have some Ubu Jubu stuff. And so what did you guys think of the extras on Flaming Pies? So Joe, what did you think of this?
I didn't get to the Ubu Jubu. I
Yep.
have to make that confession. So that's the only thing I haven't explored yet in here. But I heard the rest of it. Really was impressed. I hadn't heard Love Come Tumbling Down, Same Love, Broomstick with the vocals. There's an instrumental one that's a download, right?
Yeah,
But
Rolling Stone.
Looking for You, really, I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
I like that too.
Again, another disc I enjoyed, but all I'll say to keep it short is I will never listen to the Ballad of the Skeletons again. I despised that.
Oh man.
I kind of liked Ballad of the Skeletons. I mean, I had heard of Ballad of the Skeletons for years. I'd never heard the whole thing. And it was kind of, I mean, I wouldn't listen to it repeatedly. I will say that. It's not something I'm going to crank in my car, you know, for
Not even Paul
repeatedly.
anyway, vocally. Right?
Yeah, but it was interesting to hear. And the backing track was pretty interesting. I mean, to hear him and Philip Glass, I mean, that's
I'll
a
take
pretty
the backing track over the spoken parts.
yeah. It was interesting to hear how they did that to match Allen Ginsberg's words, and interesting that he died not that long after that recording,
Right.
and so it was an interesting collaboration, and so it's good to have. Let's put it that way. It's not something you would listen to repeatedly, but good thing to have.
And I think in the big giant set, the $600 one, you get an extra version of that.
Get the
or something?
vinyl. You get the vinyl. You
Vinyl
get it on
of it.
vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get it on vinyl.
Okay.
With etchings on it.
Yes.
The Ballad of the
Yeah.
Skeletons we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Tom, how about you?
I adore the Ballad of Skeletons. I love exactly what he says throughout the whole thing. I mean, it really makes you think a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of people that think that way, the way he describes it in his poems, or in that poem in particular. And I think it's a very powerful poem, and I'm glad that McCartney worked on it. I can listen to it. I've listened to it a lot actually over the last couple of years, because there's a couple different versions. If you have the EP of it, there's I think 4 different versions of it. I think it's done really well. It's cool that Alan came up to Paul and asked him if for advice for somebody to play guitar while he did this live. And Paul was like, well, why don't you choose me? And then, that's how that whole relationship worked. And then in return, Alan recommended a poet for Paul to help him with his poem for Standing Stone. So that was a nice little thing as well. But, Looking for You, I think, that's the same trio from Really Love You with Jeff Lynne and Ringo and Paul. Okay, Broomstick, I think, is one of the better songs on here as well. Same Love, the Nicky Hopkins piano piece, intro is absolutely beautiful. And Love Come Tumbling Down, I think, is a really solid song too. The Ubu Jubu stuff, they're shorter than the ones that were on the CD singles. A couple minutes have been cut off of all of them in order for it to fit onto this CD. So you get on disc 1, you get I Love This House, which is a great guitar bit from David Gilmour on that. 2, you get Atlantic Ocean, which is kind of fun. Squid is an instrumental. 4, Don't Break the Promise. 5, you get the earlier version of Beautiful Night, and then on 6 you get Love Mix. So you get a few different things there, which are all pretty cool. A lot of those songs were from the Phil Ramone, David Foster sessions. So it's cool to get those because, if it wasn't for this, we probably would have never heard those songs before. So yeah, I mean, I think this is probably my favorite of all of them, this 4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Ken, how about you?
Well, I really enjoyed this disc. I did find it odd that the Ballad of Skeletons was put on there, only because it's a piece that Paul's not singing lead on, and it's something entirely different. It's nice that he worked with a beat poet, famous as Allen Ginsberg, and I look at it as a side project. I just don't know if it belongs on a McCartney album or a McCartney archival box set. I applaud him for working with Allen Ginsberg, and I love the work and I love the poetry in there. I just don't know if it works there, and I don't know if even the average McCartney fan, or even the ones that are buying the box set, are going to want to hear that over and over and over again, repeatedly. I do like the bonus tracks that came out during the Flaming Pie time. Same Love, I will go so far to say, is one of the greatest love songs I think he's ever done. It's probably in his top 5 in his solo career, and like we've said so many times, there's so much great stuff that he has left off his albums, and this song came from 1988, and he never even put it on. It would have been closer to Flowers in the Dirt time. And then he makes it a bonus track on a CD single. I mean, how could he not know? That would have been a big adult contemporary hit, I believe. Same Love. It's just a marvelous piece. And yes, I love Nicky Hopkins' piano work, as I always do. The thing about the Ubu Jubu tracks is, and I'm thankful you brought that up, Tom, about how he trimmed it. I was really concerned. The one thing I didn't want McCartney to do at all was put the Ubu Jubu bonus tracks on here, because that was a radio show, and that's a different experience to listening to pure music.
Right.
I love Ubu Jubu. I listened to it when it came out. It's an important part of his history because he had his own radio series. He had a 17-part episode series.
Right.
Wasn't the Lost Lennon tapes, which lasted for 4 years, but he still had a radio series. And what I wish he would do is just put all those episodes in a box set and make it limited edition, 3,000 copies. It's going to sell out instantly. Yeah, Tom will be the first one to buy it. I'll be number 2.
I'll be number 3.
Richard Dolan's going to be the first one.
But, he did make it so much more accessible to listen to, because I really felt when I listened to the way it was presented here, it just flew right by.
Right.
It starts right off with the Ubu Jubu theme, then it usually goes into an unreleased song. And then Paul talks for a while, does a little interview, and goes into something else. And whatever he had to say is short and sweet, to the point, fascinating, going into another song. And I enjoyed it. I just don't know if, even a big McCartney fan wants to repeat hearing that over and over again, like a radio show. I just don't think it was fascinating that
I can agree with you on that. I mean, I think it's good on those CD singles as is. They're tracked. You can grab the Ubu Jubu theme song, and you can just listen to that if you wanted to. And then you could just listen to all the extras on there if you want to. I know. I'm sure there would be some copyright issues if you wanted to get all those other songs
that's right.
That he did play. If he was to do a box set like that. But I would have loved to have seen that just on its own disc. And then there's other songs that he could have put on disc without those Ubu Jubus. I actually would have kind of liked to have seen Hiroshima Sky is Always Blue on there, since he worked on that right around the same time.
Right.
Then you got the 2 other Steve Miller songs collaboration, Soul Boy and Sweet Home Country Girl, Tropic Island Hum, as well, was done right around the same time. And then just like a single version of Ubu Jubu. I mean, you could have added, another, 6 songs right there, to replace the Ubu Jubu stuff. So yeah, I agree. They kind of don't fit, but those songs that are on there, I think are some really, quality songs.
Well,
I liked Love Came Tumbling Down quite a bit. I mean, that's, in fact, I was thinking yesterday during the unboxing panel at the fest, someone who shall remain nameless mentioned during the panel, the Phil Ramone sessions, they were all just 80s production, and really dismissed them. And I mean, I liked a lot of what came out of those sessions, and this was one of them. I think Love Came Tumbling Down was was really, I mean, yes, it has a bit of an 80s sound, but so what?
I love the 80s. I
Yeah,
still love the 80s.
I'm an 80s kid.
I love the
and
80s.
exactly, and I liked it. It had a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of a new wave sound to it, and it was something different for Paul. This a little bit of a different sound, and that's great. And so I mean, I wish. I wish Love Came Tumbling Down. I mean, I know it was a B-side of the Beautiful Night, or was part of the EP, but wish it had more of a life. I mean, and then hearing some of the other stuff he did with Phil Ramone as part of the Ubu Jubu session. I remember hearing them when they first were on Ubu Jubu. I think it was Atlantic Ocean was part of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I Love This House and everything. Those are great tracks.
I
mean,
think so.
Yeah, and so I don't know why the Phil Ramone sessions always, are put down. So I'm glad they're here and in better sound quality. As I have those on the Ubu Jubu, it's of course when those aired, I taped them all religiously off the radio, and so it's nice to have them here in better quality. And in fact, I would love to have them just as separate tracks, not as part of Ubu Jubu. I would have liked that a lot better. And as you said, Same Love, another great highlight. Looking for You, I really enjoy. That's a fun jam. And I think we can transition to this because we're kind of doing this already. And then I'm thinking maybe since we're kind of running low on time, maybe we could get to the last three, like the video, the DVD stuff. Maybe we could do that in the next episode.
Okay.
Because maybe we better do that because we're running low, and we can do that even with Al Sussman is going to be the guest, our first guest on the next episode. So we could do it with him because we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Paul in the next episode. So who better can we discuss it with? So we'll do the last part of our discussion of the box set as part of our next episode.
Can I just add one more thing?
Oh, sure. Go right ahead.
Sorry. First of all, the two Steve Miller songs that you were just talking about, Tom, I'm glad that it was brought up in the book that comes with Flaming Pie. But Steve did say that those weren't finished.
Right.
So that might be a reason why, and they could have been songs that Steve Miller sang lead to. So, but we don't know.
Yeah, but those home demo songs weren't finished either.
Okay, but I don't.
Whoa, good point.
But the other thing I wanted to bring up is I have a difficult time understanding how Paul decides his bonus tracks, because do you go by the timeline, or do you go by what were bonus tracks when the album came out? Like, for example, I always like to bring this up. When the CD single came out for Put It There, the bonus tracks were Mama's Little Girl, recorded in 1972, and Same Time Next Year, which was recorded in 1978. So Mama's Little Girl ended up on Red Rose Speedway, where it belongs. Probably Same Time Next Year will end up on either London Town or Back to the Egg.
Right.
But here you have Same Love, which was recorded in 1988. Wasn't recorded the same time as the Flaming Pie sessions. You have all this Phil Ramone stuff, which was recorded around 1987. That would fit more Flowers in the Dirt or Press to Play. So it makes me wonder why these decisions are made. Was it just maybe there wasn't enough bonus material from this time period that he had to go and find something else?
Right.
But I don't know. But I certainly hope that because these songs were put on the Ubu Jubu segments, that doesn't mean we won't get them. I'd love to have these songs in the clear, like you said, Kit, like Love Mix and Atlantic Ocean. And then, I hope that doesn't mean we're going to lose the Phil Ramone stuff on Press to Play, where it really belongs, I think.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
It's a good point. It's good discussion that we could probably spend another 2 hours on another episode.
Yeah, exactly. So before we close this out, just quickly, because we've sort of covered this a little bit already, but were there things about this box set that you would have liked to have seen, or the kind of disappointed you? Were there things that
Oh, I was disappointed in some things.
Mhm.
I'll always be disappointed, but some of those have to do with the DVD stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That stuff. If it's DVD stuff, we'll save that for So it's but
Okay.
other so
we
it's
didn't do
but
we
other
didn't do
stuff.
CD5, a Flaming Pie at the Mill. I don't know if you want to cover all
We
the
can do that.
CDs.
That's a quick talk too. I mean, we could do that with Sussman as well.
All right, so
Okay.
then I'll say that my biggest pet peeve. I know you can't have everything, but I don't like seeing stuff download only. I'm not a fan of downloads. I don't care whether they're free. To me, I'm a physical media guy. I like having everything tangible all together. If you're gonna have a box, I want it all in there on the CD. I'd like to have, like I said before, the Some Days without the orchestration.
Hmm.
That would be nice. The Broomstick Instrumental, Calico Skies by the Campfire, or whatever else. I just like to have it all together. I was not happy with that routine with Flowers in the Dirt, where a lot of the stuff didn't make it. I don't think Flying to My Home made it on there. And
Right.
some other.
That was all the
Right.
download
That
only
was
stuff.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's just like air. Just you may have it, but it just poof, it's just air. It's not really there to me. But some people agree, some people don't agree, and they say, well, you can always burn it onto a disc and then stick it in the boxes. I'm like, no, you're paying enough money, put it all together.
Especially when you have the extra space
Yes.
on the CDs anyway.
Yeah,
on those
yeah,
first
right,
few
right.
discs.
Tom, like Tom said, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of lack of space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of my gripes too. Like I said earlier, 36 minutes on disc 2, 35 on disc 3. And I just feel like this is the continuous trend that one of those discs, they got to fit a vinyl record, so we're gonna suffer on CD because that third vinyl disc that's on the 3-disc vinyl has to mirror the third disc on the CD set. And it's kind of annoying in a way. That Sign of Times Prince box set that's coming out, we're getting 10, I think 13 discs or something like that of
Something
all,
like that.
material that, and they're not really, they don't really care how many vinyls they got to put out. They're just going to fill it all up for us. And so we're really going to get our money's worth that way. But yeah, just throughout this whole archive set, those 2-3 discs or whatever it is, unlike the Red Rose Speedway, where we got them really full disc on that set, so that we can excuse that one. But I just think it's unacceptable to leave that much space on a CD. Give us an isolated track like the Imagine set gave us. Give us an isolated orchestration. Give us an isolated vocal. Give us an isolated bass line if you want to. I don't care. Just beef it up with something. Something different, please.
You can have alternate takes of the studio versions.
I love
Yes.
it takes. I do.
Yeah.
I agree, Ken. That's what I was thinking. There's got to be more out there. There's got to be more alternate takes. I mean, how about some more jam sessions with Steve Miller? I mean,
Yeah.
I was surprised there wasn't more with Steve Miller. I love Steve Miller, so I would have loved to have heard. Yeah, I would have loved to have heard more of that. And then what you were saying earlier about Ubu Jubu, I would, but I guess that might be a separate box set. But yeah, I'd love full Ubu Jubu episodes. But as you said, Tom, maybe copyright issues with some of the songs he played. But yeah, I would love some full Ubu Jubu, because I mean, it's nice that we have some snippets of episodes here, but kind of frustrating to just hear chopped up versions.
Yeah. For those that never heard Ubu Jubu, it's a combination of not just Paul's music. There's a lot of rehearsal stuff of Paul's music too.
Sound checks.
And yeah, sound checks and all, but favorite music of his and influences of his.
Right.
And so he's got to get the copyrights on those.
Yeah.
That's got to be cleared. So that really complicates things. But
and the recipe segment too with Linda.
Yeah.
Oh
pretty
yes,
Yep.
that's right. Forgot about that. So so you just kind of get the nagging. I think we're all kind of saying, you just feel like, I mean, it's great what's here, but you just kind of feel like there's more out there, and that could have been included.
I mean, the fact that, Ken, you said earlier about the Speed of Sound, where you only got like 7 bonus tracks. You can't tell me that there's not an earlier version of Silly Love Songs that could not have gone on that. That
Right.
could, you know what I mean? There had to have been like 3 or 4 different takes of that song. Being as popular, I mean, as that song was, you can't tell me that there's not, a couple versions of that song that couldn't have gone on that disc.
I wouldn't have minded alternate takes of every song from Wings at the Speed of Sound.
Right.
Give me another, since we have so little of Jimmy McCulloch, you
Yeah.
know, give me an alternate Wino Junko. I'd be happy with that. I'd be
We,
happy
we
with
got
Must Do
Beware My
Something.
Love on there, right? With
Yeah,
John Bonham.
Beware My Love. Yeah, that's
with
true.
John Bonham. Yeah.
That was cool,
Mhm.
but
That
there's
was-
still so much more
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that exists.
yeah, and I don't want to make. I'm sure we all don't want to make it sound like, oh, we're not happy. We're gonna have everything. People go crazy. What are you going to do? Have 100 discs sometimes in there?
Right.
No, but just I like basically all the extra, the bonus stuff, and
Right.
if they're going to put them out, just put them on disc.
So everybody out there that complains we don't complain, there you go.
There you go.
Oh yeah, enough of that nonsense.
Exactly. Well, as you can tell, there is much more to say about Flaming Pie,
Yeah.
and we are going to continue this discussion in our next episode, where we are going to welcome a very special guest, a good friend to all of us and many of you out there, I'm sure, Al Sussman, who's the executive editor of Beatle Fan magazine, and we are going to talk more McCartney with him. He's doing a two-part Paul McCartney kind of career retrospective for Beatle Fan magazine, and we are going to talk to him about that. And I know he's going to have a lot to say about Flaming Pie as well. So we will finish our discussion, the box set, with him, and then talk about his article. So it'll be a great episode.
And by the way, I think Flaming Pie is one of Paul's all-time best albums.
Yes.
I didn't get to say that. It's in my top
Absolutely.
5.
Absolutely, it's a wonderful album. It really is, and so it's a pleasure. That's the thing with this box set. It's a pleasure to be able to revisit it again, because it is. It's a as I said, it's a really special album, and I agree, one of his best. So thank you all for joining us to discuss this album tonight. There's, as you can tell, there's a lot to say about it. So we're and we are definitely going to continue this conversation next time. So before we go, we'll just have a quick go around here and just talk a little bit about what we're working on. And so Joe, why don't you kick it off and let us know where we can find you.
You can subscribe and comment on my channel on YouTube, me and Mr. Mayo, and I'm going to hopefully be doing another shot at me being an interviewee with Ethan Alexanian for his Fans on the Run, because I did one and I had an old headset, this thing, and it didn't sound as good. So I think this new one may be an improvement. So I'm looking forward to doing that soon.
Excellent. Tom, how about you? You've been up to a lot.
Yeah, hopefully we got a few minutes here.
No, we don't.
Plastic EP, I did that show. What a trip that was. He's on YouTube. You can go over to Plastic EP, check that out. I also did a show with Anthony Rotuno, I think you pronounce his last name. He does a John centric podcast called Glass Onion on John Lennon, and we reviewed this book, Riding So High, The Beatles and Drugs, which I think is a really interesting book. I don't tell people to do drugs, but the way that they were able to perform and do so much great music while on drugs and singing about drugs is amazing. So check out that book. Two Legs. We've been busier than ever. We just dropped our last episode. It was on the 90s 9-album B-side songs. So check that out. And we also had our last guest 2 weeks ago, Tony Triguardo. We talked about the McCartney Elvis Costello collaboration. So that was a lot of fun. So YouTube, Paul McCartney, or Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. We're there, Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio. So check it out.
Fantastic. All right, Ken, how about you?
I'll make this quick. Recently, I was on Sam Wild's show, Paul or Nothing, talking about Flowers in the Dirt album. Check that out. That's on Podbean. Also, things we said today, we're actually taking a break this week, mainly because Darren DeVivo, one of my colleagues, was without power for from Tuesday through Saturday.
Wow.
And so he's had trouble just our next show is going to be on Flaming Pie, obviously.
Right.
So he hasn't really had a chance to delve into everything. So we're going to record that next week. So we're going to do our review of Flaming Pie. Plenty of Flaming Pie to go around on the internet.
That'll be Two Legs next episode as well. So.
Speaking of which, my trivia question on my website, and I happen to have weekly Beatles trivia, where you can win one of 10 prizes, is a Flaming Pie question, which I will put up right after the show ends. So all kinds of great prizes. An Accidental Studio, the new documentary
Yay.
animated film.
Yay.
The Point recently came out, reissued. Harry Nilsson
Absolutely.
children's animated
Yep.
special that Ringo narrated.
Mhm.
Dave Morell's book, Run Out Groove. We might have him as a guest on this show.
Yes, we will.
Capital
Yeah.
Promotions man in the 80s. Worked on Press to Play and Flowers in the Dirt, promoting it. Menlove Avenue, live in New York City. Lots of Beatles stories he could tell. So you can win that on my website, kenmichaelsradio.com. And every little thing, find out all the radio stations that broadcast that show on my Every Little Thing page on my website. Gives you all the stations, broadcast times, links to the stations. If you like thematic sets, which we talked about on our panel yesterday on, talking about all these different genres, reggae sets, country music sets. I do that on the show. That's just a common thing. And you get to hear the music and learn about it. So that's all on my website, Every Little Thing page, kenmichaelsradio.com. And that is all.
All right.
I snuck that in.
Yeah, snuck it.
From your favorite album.
That's right. There you
Favorite
go.
song.
Favorite song. There you go.
Oh, my.
And as for me, as always, you can reach me on my Facebook page, Kid O'Toole's Keynotes. I'm on Twitter at Kid O'Toole. This episode will be up on YouTube and Podbean and everywhere you can imagine, on every podcasting platform you can think of later this week. I will soon, I'm not quite sure when it'll go up, but I will be on Paul or Nothing. We had a blast talking about Give My Regards to Broad Street.
I want to do a show on that one day.
Yeah, we should do
We
it.
will.
We
We'll
will.
get around to it all.
We
Lots to
will.
go
We
around.
will. We have. Oh yeah, we've got a lot to get to on this show. So that should be going up in the near future. I'll let you know when that goes up. I have a weekly show with Plastic EP, kind of just an informal sort of chit chat. It's fun, and it's usually once a week. It's kind of the day kind of differs. It depends when we can get together, and so just keep an eye on Plastic EP's Facebook page. If you don't subscribe to it, just hit the like button, and of course subscribe to our page. You can also find us on Twitter at TalkMoreTalk1. You can also email us at talkmoresolotalk@gmail.com. Like us. And on YouTube, of course, subscribe to our channel and rate us on any of the podcasting platforms you use. The more you rate us, the higher we're ranked, and we really, really like that. And also, as I said, please subscribe to our channel and spread the word to your friends, your family, your enemies, whoever you'd like. And so thank you so much, all of you, for joining us for this special edition of Talk More Talk, and we can't wait to see you next time. So for Tom Hunyadi, Ken Michaels, Joe Mayo, this is Kid O'Toole, and as Paul said after finishing recording Calico Skies, that's the way to do an album. See you next time.
Cool.
Good
Bye-bye.
stuff.